Ben Studio gets an update, Phantom Blade Zero gets more details, and majority of Xbox sales happening on PlayStation. All that in today's video. Please like the video, subscribe to never miss a PlayStation update, and share the video to help grow our community. Now let's get right into this news regarding Ben Studio and some layoffs that have happened. This is coming straight from Game Developer. 2 weeks after Sony canceled its in-development live service game, Ben Studio has laid off an unknown number of contractors. Several designers contracted to work on the unannounced game have revealed they were recently let go or will be laid off after February 14th. These workers were part of Ben's level and system design teams. One designer stated Ben made the decision to prematurely rescind all ongoing contracts except for a select few that will be hired full-time. And now, while that's great news for the ones getting hired full-time, we still got to keep in mind there are a lot of people who didn't get to make the cut. Now, they have reached out to Sony for an answer to some of this stuff. I highly doubt Sony will actually comment on it, but as far as that goes, it doesn't surprise me either because, well, that's what happens when you get a canceled project, right? People end up losing their jobs and things change. Why would you need certain contractors on site if your entire project has changed? Like, you don't know when you're going to need specific people or at what points, or if you're going to at all in some cases. So it makes sense for them to get rid of some employees, but it doesn't change that it sucks for the people who did lose their jobs, as anybody losing their jobs is, it's never a good thing. And it's never an easy thing to go through. So hopefully those people do get back up on their feet. But as far as Ben Studio goes, I think we're probably not going to see anything for some time. You got to remember the last game that they dropped for us was Days Gone in 2019. And that game was in development for quite some time. I remember us waiting on that one for a while. And so now we're waiting for their next announcement for their game. But that probably isn't going to be happening anytime soon, unless they're doing a remaster of sorts, unless they're doing something that's not going to take an exceptional amount of time. But maybe they'll be doing a Days Gone 2, maybe they won't. We'll see what happens. But overall, I'm hoping that we see something cool from them, as, naturally, Days Gone, I love Days Gone. And I know a lot of people did as well, just based on the comments that I get. And I think that a lot of us are hoping to see Days Gone and make a comeback and Sony Ben to succeed with their next entry, as obviously if they fail with the next title, then it's probably not looking good for the studio as a whole. Now, moving on to our next topic, we're talking about Phantom Blade Zero. We got a new update for that game, and it's looking to be an interesting title. It'll be around 20 to 30 hours long, and it's going to feature 4 difficulty levels. As revealed on Chinese forums Taiba, it has been revealed in a recent interview that the game in development by S-Game will require between 20 and 30 hours to complete the main story, with 20 hours of additional side content. The game will also feature a total of 4 difficulty levels ranging from simple to extremely difficult, so the total playtime will likely be higher for those who wish to be challenged or want to play through the game multiple times at different difficulty levels. No matter the difficulty, however, players will not have to completely restart boss battles upon defeat, as they will start again at the second phase if they reach it before being defeated. So already we're looking at a little more accessibility here, as it's not going to be a situation where they're going to be dealing with like a Souls-like game or even Wukong level, as we're looking at multiple difficulty levels, and it's going to probably have something there that's easy enough for a super casual to play through it, but also a difficulty that's going to appease those who want the most highest difficulty levels possible in their games. So really accessible in that way. I also like the idea that the bosses won't restart completely. You'll start again at a second phase if it's a second phase that you reach, which some people might not like that, but I think it's nice to have that as an option. I imagine with the hardest difficulties, you're probably looking at a different scenario where you're going to have to redo these boss battles completely, as that makes sense with higher difficulties. Now, we've also got an update on the modes and how long this game is. Phantom Blade Zero will feature what sounds like a boss rush mode, where it will be possible to fight main campaign bosses again. This mode will also feature some hidden bosses, so it definitely sounds like the game will feature plenty of content. 30 main weapons and more than 20 secondary weapons will be available in the game, so combat should be pretty varied. So we're talking about a lot of weapons to choose from. We're talking about a boss rush mode with secret bosses in addition, which is kind of great. I mean, can you imagine having all of that plus more, just not just a boss rush mode, but giving you extra stuff there as well. So a lot of cool stuff happening with this game. Also, it's going to be between 20 to 30 hours to complete with 20 hours of additional side content. So you're looking at a 40 to 50 hour game, which is quite a lot if you look at the project itself, right? How often are you getting a game with 40 to 50 hours of content, especially if it's looking to be as good as this game is looking to be? So a lot of cool stuff here. I am very excited for Phantom Blade Zero. I really want to play this one. From the beginning, when we saw the trailer for this game, like at that PlayStation, I think it was a state of play or a showcase, I cannot remember, but I was really impressed with it, and I'm so glad to see that this game is shaping well, and hopefully we'll get it sometime in the near future. I would love to see it in 2025, but if it's 2026, I'm totally okay with that too. Moving on, we got an update here, and it comes from Shinobi, who sourced it from Video Games Chronicle. He says 64% of consumers spending on Microsoft titles in December was on PlayStation, says data firm Ampere. Revenue was estimated at roughly $465 million, making it the top publisher, followed by EA. So if you really think about this, guys, 64% of consumers spending on Microsoft titles in December was on PlayStation. So PlayStation gamers made up the majority of their sales, which is huge. And this is a clear sign of why Xbox cannot just keep PlayStation out of the equation. They need them. They really, really need them. Without PlayStation, they would be in some pretty big trouble, because it's not as simple as people just buy the games elsewhere. The fan base and the user base on PlayStation is pretty massive, and it's quite clear that they are buying a lot of these games. So it kind of, the numbers speak for themselves in this case. Like, clearly Xbox really, really needs PlayStation to make as much money as they are right now on their games, at least. Microsoft has also revealed what's going on with their finances in their second fiscal quarter. The division generated $6.6 billion in revenue during the 3 months ended December 31st, 2024, which was down $530 million year over year. The decline was attributed to a 29% drop in Xbox hardware revenue, driven by a lower volume of consoles sold during the quarter. The Xbox content and services revenue increased 2% year over year, fueled by growth in Game Pass. So again, guys, this is a situation where things are just not looking great for Microsoft in the hardware department, right? We know that their hardware is doing terrible. We know that they're not going to find any success with their current lineup of hardware, as people are just not interested. And the question remains, will next generation change that? I don't think it will, but there is a chance that maybe their handheld approach or whatever it is that they plan on doing might convince some people to jump on board. But I think that it takes a lot more than just good hardware to sell your consoles. I think it takes exclusive experiences more than anything, and Xbox just really doesn't have that anymore, as they're now porting all their games over to other platforms. And we definitely see that they are going to continue that when we look at what's happening with the consumer spending on their titles just in December. 64% is a pretty massive number, and they're not going to just walk away from that. There would be no way for them to walk away from that, especially once you become accustomed to making those sales. Your financial reports are going to look very different if you stop putting your games over on PlayStation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next with Xbox, and if they're going to continue pushing even further into the third-party direction, which just seems to be that way, especially with the recent interviews that have happened. As far as their hardware goes, I don't see that problem being solved. I think, if anything, we might see hardware go away from Microsoft as far as Xbox hardware goes. As much as people don't want to hear that, I think that still is very much a possibility, especially if they're not making the money they want to make in that department. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this. Let me know what you think of the whole Bend Studio thing. Phantom Blade Zero is looking good. Would you buy that game? And how are you feeling about these numbers, where 64% of consumer spending on Microsoft titles in December was on PlayStation? And of course, the Xbox hardware continuing to fall. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and share the video to help grow our community. I thank you all for watching. Take care.